Hello and welcome to Arise News. It's Thursday, the 9th of March. I'm Charles Aniagolu in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. This is an Arise News special, and for the next 30 minutes, we'll turn the spotlight on Nigeria's new economic recovery and growth plan, which has just been published around the world. First, though, let's take a quick look at the other main headlines this morning. U.S. federal agencies have launched a criminal investigation into the public release of documents said to detail CIA hacking tools, part of a big WikiLeaks expose. And Barcelona stunned Paris Saint-Germain, making history by overturning a first leg 4-0 defeat. Now, the United States federal agencies have launched a criminal investigation into the WikiLeaks release of documents said to detail CIA hacking tools. U.S. officials told the media that the FBI and CIA were coordinating the inquiry after WikiLeaks published files running into thousands. The leaked documents showed details of unconfirmed information alleged to be CIA methods of listening in on smartphone and smart TV microphones. The FBI, CIA, and White House have declined to comment on the authenticity of the files leaked on Tuesday. A CIA spokesperson said on Wednesday that the American public should be deeply troubled by any WikiLeaks disclosure designed to damage the intelligence community's ability to protect America against terrorists and other adversaries. The inquiry would also try to establish whether the disclosure was a breach from inside or outside the CIA. Now, the other big story, of course, sports. Barcelona stuns Paris Saint-Germain by scoring 6 goals against PSG and made Champions League history by becoming the first team to overturn a first leg 4-0 deficit. Barca knocked out Paris Saint-Germain by winning 6-1 in the second leg to reach the quarterfinals for the 10th successive season. The Spanish champions scored 3 goals in the final 7 minutes in one of the greatest European ties of all time. Neymar's free kick and penalty, followed by Sergio Roberto's 95th minute winner, sealed victory on an incredible night at the Nou Camp. Now, our primary focus on the program will be Nigeria, where a new economic recovery plan has been giving analysts, investors, and ordinary Nigerians food for thought. The 3-year economic blueprint runs out in 2020 and is targeting 7% growth during the period. The plan now allows the government to seek multilateral donor funding from the World Bank and African Development Bank. It also unveils a roadmap for Nigeria's economic recovery, growth, and sustainable development. So, can this economic plan finally help Nigeria achieve liftoff in growth terms? Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Udoma Udoma, Nigeria's Minister of Budget and National Planning. Thank you very much indeed for coming in, and I expect you've had sleepless nights over this document. Clearly, the objective here is to achieve growth. Give us the highlights of this plan.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for having me on your program. There are 3 broad objectives. The number 1 objective, which is the most important, is restoring growth. You know, we're in a recession, so we must restore growth. And we intend to restore growth by spending. Government has to lead the way in spending. So in order to get the revenues to spend, we will plug leakages, expand the tax base, get more people to pay their taxes. We will restore oil production, and then we will borrow. Then with that, we'll spend on infrastructure, on capital, to get the economy going again. So restoring growth. The second is investing in our people. Our people are our greatest resource. We're short of skills. Is to upscale the skills of our people, particularly ICT, technology, and get our people. We should leapfrog other countries and move on in terms of technology. Then the third is building a competitive economy. To do that, we have to spend on infrastructure, and we have to improve the ease of doing business. We have a presidential committee looking at the ease of doing business. Right now, the World Bank ranks us as 169 out of about 190 countries on the ease of doing business. We want, during this plan period, to move up to the top 100. It's very ambitious, but we believe that we can do it. And we believe that we have the political will, the determination to do it. And we must do it for our people, because 7% growth, in our view, is the minimum that we require to really make an impact on poverty and to really get our people to feel some prosperity.
Of course, these are words in a document. I mean, the point, of course, is that you're coming from a 1.5% contraction, devastating economic recession, and now you're talking about within the next 2-3 years achieving 7% growth. That sounds hugely ambitious, if not unrealistic.
No, it is not unrealistic. It is ambitious, but we can do it. We can do it. Basically, what you have to look at, what are the constraints? What is the source of our recession? The source of our recession was oil prices crashed, production crashed. Oil prices are moving up a bit, we're restoring production. So that is on the one count. But more importantly, we want to diversify our sources of revenue.
Right.
We want to export other things other than crude oil. So we're looking at the various things that we can export. We're looking at agricultural produce, we're looking at rice, we're looking at cassava, we're looking at soya beans, we're looking at processed food as well. We're looking at trying to revive some of our industry.
Right.
We're looking at petrochemicals. There is just so much that we can do in this country. And Nigerians have capacity. And Nigerians are natural entrepreneurs. What government needs to do is create the environment, and you will see growth and we will see prosperity.
Okay, Minister, let's just turn to special sections that we're interested in. You're, of course, watching an Arise News special from Abuja, Nigeria, where we're turning the spotlight on the government's new economic recovery and growth plan, which has been 2 years in the making, but has finally been released. With me, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, who presided over that blueprint. Now let's move the conversation to the proposed plan for the real sector, such as agriculture, manufacturing, solid minerals, services, construction, that sort of thing. That'll mean investment, and the drive now in Nigeria, according to the new economic plan, is to move towards a private investment-driven market. For decades since independence, in fact, Nigeria has been almost 100% funded by public funds, but for now, the first time, the new economic blueprint aims to really ground the private sector. But critics say the biggest challenge for Nigeria in attracting domestic and foreign investment is not the scarcity of foreign exchange, it's the lack of confidence in the economy. That is what is forcing a downward pull on the naira, which in turn is having a knock-on effect on prices, transport, food, housing, everything, in fact. The government has simply not inspired the kind of confidence needed for a stable economy and a business-friendly environment. So will this new economic and recovery plan return that much-needed confidence to the Nigerian economy? And of course, with me, the Nigerian Minister for Budget and Planning, Senator Udo Udoma. Thank you for sticking with us. Of course, a big question here, as we said, is restoring confidence. The Nigerian Stock Exchange people have left. Most of the investment in it is indigenous now. Most people have gone because they don't feel they can repatriate their funds once they put it in. There's been a lot of talk in this document about the central bank and moves to try and make the foreign exchange market more user-friendly. Tell us about that.
Basically, as the government is committed to having an exchange rate regime, administration that is market determined, that is, we have fewer administrative controls. It's a process. The central bank is working on it, and we will get there as we want to get there as quickly as possible, because that is a major issue that everybody has raised. We need to address the issue of supply.
Right.
Supply of foreign exchange. And that is what we are working on right now.
Okay, I mean, in spite of this plan, as we said, it's still on paper. Investors are not investing in Nigeria. The equity market, they still aren't satisfied they can get their funds out. There's still no convergence, which is the key thing here. In the official and the parallel markets, the Naira is yet to discover its true value. So technically, the country has not moved from where it was.
Well, there have been some progress. The central bank did announce last year a policy of a more market-determined exchange rate. It is in the implementation. They're working on the implementation. They have a few constraints which they are addressing right now.
Right. What about the interest rates? Because that's another thing that is going to spur investment, spur sort of the private sector to become actually interested in doing what you want to do, because you want to work with them. Interest rates at a very high 14%, ostensibly to fight inflation, which interestingly, that's what the central bank is doing, but it goes against calls by the finance minister, Kemi Adeosun, to loosen monetary policy in order to support the economy. So something of a policy clash there already.
Well, yes, I think that we are trying to bring things closer together. We are working with the central bank and the monetary thing to bring the interest rates down.
Right.
In the short term, what is happening is this, that in particular areas, like in agriculture, we have the anchor borrowing program. In industry, we also have low interest rates targeted at particular activities, like for instance, agriculture. So we have that in the short term. But you are right that we have to bring it down across the board. We're also working on it, and it's part of the plan.
Okay, well, let's move to oil and gas now, which is, of course, another very critical area. There was talk, of this being a key component of this plan. Part of that focus has been on global oil prices rising again, the hope that it'll pull Nigeria out of this economic recession. But that is just a tiny sliver of hope, isn't it? I mean, give us the bare bones of this plan, because if oil prices continue to fluctuate, how can you base your economic projections on that?
No, we've actually based our economic projection on a very conservative oil price. We are looking at oil price in the 40s, maybe lower 50s. We're not looking at oil prices going up to $100. So the plan is not based on high oil prices.
Right.
If we get high oil prices, that may be a boost, but we're not depending on it at all. However, we want to maximize oil production. Right. Oil is a wasting asset.